Hello everyone, welcome back to Youth Unhinged. We are here today to talk about another recent issue in Malaysia, which is about the Basikal Dajah, or known as modified bicycle accident that happened in Johor Bahru on 2017. And we also have a new guest. Not really a new guest, he's been here last time. Mr. Lew Guan Xi. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, and thanks for having me again.
Yeah, I remember our previous episode. Fantastic name, by the way. Expose with Lew Guan Xi. I think that the name was just fantastic.
And also happy Earth Day to everyone. Today is 22nd April.
Oh, so that's why the Google button was different today morning.
Yeah.
It's Earth Day.
Right. Okay. So very quickly, let's. I'll just start up with a brief rundown of the facts. So for international listeners who don't know, this is a big problem here in Malaysia. This is following up from a case that happened in 2017. So the case involved a Chinese woman driving home in Johor. So Johor is the state right beside Singapore and the Malaysian side. And she was driving home 3 o'clock in the morning, and she came across a bunch of kids who were cycling with illegally modified bikes without brakes in order to make the bike without lights, in order whatever the most dangerous thing that you can have on a bike. Like they had it all, I guess.
And on the highway.
There you go. And I think what they were doing there in the first place, maybe I'm going to talk about all of that today. But anyway, long story short, she ran into basically all of them. 8 of them died, 2 of them severely injured, 6 of them injured, all treated at the
Hospital Sultan Aminah, right?
Sultana Aminah, is that the name?
I think
Sultana
so.
Aminah Hospital.
Something Aminah, yeah.
No, hold on. It's not Sultana. She wasn't a Sultana, right? My bad. Tengku Aminah Hospital.
Oh, okay, correct lah.
I believe that's the name.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the case happened in 2017, but it's been a long fight in court, and the final sentencing or the most recent sentencing was a fine
6,000 ringgit Malaysia.
Of 6,000 Malaysian ringgit, as well as jail time for 6 years, which was recently. I mean, she had to go to jail, spend a few nights in jail before bail was approved.
Yeah, because I think bail was not bailable.
Right. Yeah, and how did the bail get passed then? How did she get the bail if it wasn't bailable?
Yeah, it's the 3
non-bailable offenses, right?
Yeah,
that's what you mean.
It's the 3 person in charge of the Court of Appeal of the case approve it after it is heard before them a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's in the Court of Appeal, right?
Yeah,
so basically. Right. So basically the case is then under the jurisdiction of the Court of Appeal right now, right? That
yes,
should
right
be
now.
What it be.
High Court of Appeal,
so be careful.
Yeah.
So be careful of sub judice. So sub judice is commenting on the case that is under the court, under the purview of the court. So okay, what we're gonna do is try to be as safe as possible and just talk about the facts of the case and look at it the way that each of us see it personally.
True. Because we still respect the judiciary. We can't really go against them. We respect the law, but then we just want to share opinions about it.
Yeah. So let's kickstart this. It's just helpful to point out that a few prominent lawyers, such as the lawyer of former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Tun Razak, his name is Tan Sri Shafi, as well as a few other prominent lawyers have offered their services pro bono. So that means they're offering to represent the accused, Sam Kerting, for free.
Wait, but then is it really for free or not? Because when I go and read up the meaning for pro bono, right, it's either free or for a lower cost. But I don't know about this case.
In her case, I assume it's going to be completely free. Yeah, it's up to the lawyer's discretion at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So in her case, I don't think someone, all these top tier lawyers would want anything.
Yeah,
they're making enough money as it is. Okay, but that's just me assuming the better part of most of them. Okay, so let's start with the journalist here. Lew Guan Xi, what do you think about this? Welcome to the show again.
Yeah, so thanks for having me again. And about you were assuming that these lawyers are providing free service for some thing, and I think let's just not judge whether it will be free after all, but let's look it from the viewpoint where why these lawyers like choose to be involved in this case. My opinion on this, my view on this is, I think it's because like this case is really a nationwide issue where it sparks a huge public outrage after High Court ruled that or sentenced this woman into 6 years jail and in the first place doesn't allow her to be bailed. So I think it's because these lawyers, they also like work for very prominent figures like Tan Sri Shafi works for former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib. So I think they kind of
He doesn't work for him. His
his
client is
yeah.
Datuk Sri. To say that he works for him is sounds makes Najib sound like his
Yeah,
boss.
technically you work for your client. Yeah, so
Yeah.
so back to
Right.
my point, I think they are just trying to shed some of the public light on themselves where they are showing the public that, we are also doing something for the public benefits. Maybe that is inside their notion. So that is why they come to involve to this case and try to, as they claim, they try to help this woman as much as they could. So yeah, that's my view.
All right, stop right there. You probably disagree already.
Yeah, because I thought he really did that out of like true kindness, like sincerely he wanted to do that.
Uh-huh. Oh, so that's what you think. You think he did it out of true
Yeah.
kindness. Okay.
I mean, but then Kwanzi as a fair point as well. If you think about it, like it's a proper way to get attention from the society, you know. Like it's a big issue.
Yeah,
You suddenly
okay, I
come in and
understand
then be like, okay, I will help her. So everyone be like, oh, he's being a great person here.
Okay, by the way, just feel free to shoot back whenever you feel offended. Okay, we're going no holds barred today. But you said that you think he's doing it out of kindness. I personally think that an experienced lawyer such as Shafi, at one point, I think he's seen lots of his clients go to jail anyway. So to say that he actually cares for her,
Nah.
I think if he goes to jail, I don't think he's going to lose any sleep on it. Personally, what I think it is his passion for the profession. That's more of what I'm leaning towards. Like he's doing it like a co-curricular activity. You know what I mean? If you are criminal or not, it's basic. The principle is, and this is the reason why I wanted to be a lawyer. It's because if you're a criminal or not, what's important is that your rights still be looked after, because you might have done some crimes or you might not have done some crimes that's yet to be proven in court. You must be given punishment that is equal to or proportional to the crime that you committed. So otherwise, if that wasn't the case, then you won't need any lawyers, because if lawyers were just representing the people who are holy and you know the people who are only going to heaven, then I think to put it kindly, then I think that there's no point in being a lawyer, because then first of all, you're not going to get business, because then you've got the option of declining customers who come to you. So then what's the point of having lawyers? Who's going to help you if you actually did something wrong and no one believes? If people think you did something wrong, but you know that you did nothing wrong and no one believes you, no one is going to represent you.
Yeah,
then.
exactly. I think that is why they always say you are always innocent until you are proven guilty.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fundamental principle of law, which I think nowadays is being tarnished, especially in the US by the media of all people. So you've got your reputation on the line as well, because the court of public opinion is one that's very dangerous, and which is why also I think that the principle of sub judice matters very much. What the public people say, what the people in public say can actually have significant weightage on the way a court proceeding goes. If everyone is angry at a person, even though the person happens to be innocent, then they can start riots and whatnot just because the court ruled against the favor of the majority. So that's very, very dangerous.
But then in this case, what happened was the people started to sign petitions, right? And in just like few hours, it reached 250,000 signs. I think there were 2 different petitions going on, and I don't know the exact name of it, but yeah, like people really showed their support through these petitions. And my question to you
Okay.
guys is that, do you guys really think the online petition is the way to go for it? Like online petition, I feel like last week also I saw something about Manchester United, like please sign this.
Everyone is
Yeah,
doing
please
petitions
sign a
this week.
petition to sack Harry Maguire from Manchester United team. I'm like, why?
To be fair, he's quite crap.
I think the most petitions can do, especially this kind of online petitions, the most you can do is, I've seen some activist groups, they actually submit the petition results to like members of parliament or to government officials. But that's the most petition can do, because after you have passed these results to the this kind of elected officials or people's representative, is the ball is up to them to like, if they actually want to do anything on
Yeah,
this.
and then how will it affect the judiciary? Like, will it make any changes at all?
No, and it shouldn't.
No,
Right?
no.
I don't think it should, because then you're trying to manipulate the decision of the judges, which shouldn't. I think is not healthy.
It shouldn't and it will not lah. Yeah, because first of all, its petition don't really have that much of effect, as I mentioned just now. And yeah, and the point that Karan raised just now is judiciary's decision is what we call as muktamad.
Yeah, fine.
It's absolute. So, and no other pillars inside, like the parliamentarians can't involve in it, the executive can't involve in it, and the public also can't involve.
Well, but you know what? The executive can be involved in it to a certain extent, and I think this is where the petition sort of comes to play. The petition, I don't think, is aimed at the judiciary; it's aimed at the prosecution. So basically, the power of dropping charges and reducing charges and the kind of charge that the prosecution or that the person prosecuting decides to put the accused under, it all lies with the prosecution. So it's a very powerful, and I think that the prosecution comes under the executive branch, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, because the prosecution here in this case is basically the government.
Isn't
the government is suing this woman for reckless driving.
Right, and so doing that is basically a nudge to the government. But like both of you pointed out, I think unless the number is really, really significant, it doesn't really do much. Let's look at the facts of the case. Someone said that she was driving without her lights on. Do either of you know if that is true or not?
I think so far what I've read is she was following all the rules. I mean, we can't even say whether she was turning the lights on or off. Like, we don't even have like any visual footage of it.
I don't know, because I didn't come across like this kind of reports or footage or visuals or any other kinds of evidence about like whether she turns on her lights or not. But under logical assumptions and expectations of, you drive at 3 a.m. in the morning and you don't turn on lights, like even though they might be those kind of road lights by the roadside, but if you don't turn on your light, the front part of your vehicle is just not bright enough for you to see. You see, so as driver, you will also be afraid, right? When the front part of you is dark. So automatically you will switch on your lights. Yeah, that is just logical assumption.
Yeah, but then I think here we can implement another thing also. We need vehicles with like automatic function to turn on their lights when it's already night, like in a dark place, right?
Yeah, it's already a feature in a lot of the newer vehicles, but maybe it's sort of like as a safety precaution, maybe make it a standard feature, right?
Okay, I mean, let me ask this question also. Initially, like it was going on some cutting side, right? Then it like turned around because of the fact called reckless driving. So how do you guys define this reckless driving?
It's very subjective, isn't it? It's very subjective. Yeah, but I think it was made that way so that I think it was made that way. Imagine if you're the person making the law, right? And you can't think of everything under the sun that constitutes reckless driving. Like otherwise you'd have to spell it out word by word, and if you accidentally missed something, then the person goes away scot-free, even though that person is completely guilty. So I think it was done that way. So call it reckless driving. So then you can put what you feel like is reckless. What any reasonable person feels like is reckless. You can put that under there. However, the problem with it is actually, in fact, that very fact. To me, that is the problem with it. Also, it's like a good and also a bad. because then different people interpret it differently as well, right?
Yeah, I would say this is also kind of a loophole inside Malaysian democratic system because
But I think it's not just Malaysia. I think law as a whole works that way.
yeah, because in democratic nations, people elect officials to like make the laws, and many times these laws are subjective viewpoint from the lawmakers, especially the one who hold the power, the governmental bloc, the ruling party, because they form the majority inside the Congress or Parliament, and they are the ones who drive and is the deciding factor whether a law can be passed or not, because they form the majority. So when they have their subjective viewpoint, and especially when they put into their political viewpoints inside the law, which the law is politicized or weaponized, and it's very dangerous. But I won't say, back to the case of this, I won't say it is like the term reckless driving is politicized.
It's not happening here, right? Do you think that's happening here?
Yeah, what I'm raising here is this reckless driving right here is defined very subjectively according to the people who are not in favor of this woman, Sam Kerting. So it's hard to define what reckless driving is actually if you just raise the question.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page with you guys as well. Like, to shed some light on it, right? From an article that Karan sent to me yesterday, recklessness is defined as committing an unlawful or dangerous act whilst showing disregard to the potential consequences. And in this case, how could she even expect that there'll be people on the highway? I mean, what is the action that she did that can be even considered as
I've got a
reckless in
problem
any
there.
point?
You said, how could she expect people to be on the highway? When you're driving, any reasonable person should assume that there will be people on the highway no matter what time it is, because you're there in the
Yeah, people on the highway, yes. But then like not like people on the bicycle, right? You would expect like a proper vehicle on the
Yes.
highway. And let me inform you about another thing also. In Malaysia, cycling on highway can cause you to get a fine from 1,000 to 5,000 Malaysian ringgit, or even prison term up to 12 months. So it is a crime to cycle on the highway, and obviously they are on the bad side of it, right? Like the people that passed away, and like to suddenly call that Sam Kerting was the person that was doing the reckless driving.
I think there's also a problem that needs to be pointed out here is, yeah, this is, I have to first mention, this is not a disrespect comment to the ones who deceased, but the fact that people are really like to put emotions into their judgment whenever somebody passes away due to certain accidents or due to this thing, because as you said just now, cycling on highway.
No, but I don't think emotions is involved here, because that's where the law, I mean, or rather the charge involuntary manslaughter comes into play. Both of you have probably heard of that before. So it's where you cause a death, but you didn't mean to cause a death. So the fact of the matter is lives are lost at the end of the day. And so when lives are lost, the main principle behind it is one life for another. So whether you're on the wrong or not, I think that principle is one that still stands, and it stood for so long because of a reason. I think there's probably some sort of logic behind it.
Yes.
And to me, it also makes sense, because when lives are lost, you can't possibly say that the people who did it, while most of the fault might be on like, I think there is a consensus that they shouldn't have been there, they shouldn't have been driving bicycles in the first place. But then to put the blame entirely on them, while most of the blame may be on them, it's also not proper, I think, because at the end of the day, they didn't run into her, she ran into them. So I think that's something to be considered.
Yeah, that's why I also always tell myself when I see the verdict, I just tell myself that it's not the judiciary to be blamed, because the law is there. When you run into people,
yeah, the judiciary is only using the laws that,
and the court works by the law. So
yeah,
you
exactly.
don't put
That's
extreme blame, or don't put all the blame on either one side of the case. You just view it from multiple perspectives and judge it rationally.
Yeah. So then in that case, then I put forward this idea then that whatever it is, then the responsibility actually then lies on the prosecution to treat each case consistently, right? So let's say that they've charged her today, they've decided to charge her with involuntary manslaughter, basically something like that, because she caused the deaths of these eight teenagers. So then I seem to go back to another case where I remember this was a few years ago, Diwali morning, the morning of Diwali, two kids, they were starting to open firecrackers or something like that. and so they needed a pair of scissors. So this small kid, right, he takes the scissors from the kitchen, he grabs it, and he runs to his neighbor's house with the scissor, basically crashes into his friend, also around the same age, I think 7 or 8 years old, both of these kids. The guy gets stabbed, dies on the spot.
God.
So isn't that involuntary manslaughter as well? But I'm assuming no action was taken.
But isn't that because it's under the juvenile case already?
Yeah, sure, but you can't prosecute. I mean, you can't
Punish them?
put any punishment. But that doesn't mean you can't prosecute the guy.
Mhm.
You can prosecute the guy, and the guy can still end up in some sort of juvenile school.
To give a proper comparison, right? In this case, the reckless point is even more vivid. Like the person going around with the scissors is obviously a reckless thing to do. So the fact that they wasn't prosecuted, it just shows that how inconsistent we are.
Yeah.
But the point of argument here is when you say about this child is reckless, because just now when you define the word reckless, you say that they didn't consider the potential consequences. So, but
then they still commit an unlawful or dangerous act. In this case, the dangerous act is roaming around with the scissors.
yeah, but the point of argument here, I think it lies on because whether the child can identify whether running with a pair of scissors without considering the surroundings is a dangerous act, because it is a child with only 7 and 8 years old, right? Just now you said, Karan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe his mind just not developed enough yet to identify whether his act of running with a pair of scissors into his friend is actually a dangerous act. So the point of argument also lies here, which is what I wish to point out.
Hey, thanks for sticking around. You've been listening to part 1 of Justice Served by Youth Unhinged with me, Karan, and my friend Yuvaan. Part 2 will be released next week, so stay tuned for that. Till then, bye-bye.